folks, Dude here, coming to you yet again, another iteration of Dude After Dark. I haven't seen anybody get in the room just yet, but I do have some people that are here. Obviously, people are now chiming on board, and I appreciate your kind attentions. North of the Border 905 is in the room. So I got my Canuckastani, I gather, or one of my resident Canuckastanis. Abrams is in the room, so good stuff. You're going to meet Lauren this weekend. Oh, dude, too cool. He is speaking about Lauren, who is the gentleman that actually is one of the partners, owners, and head honchos of Polymer 80. So if you guys don't know, I've actually built a Polymer 80 lower. There is now iterations of the Polymer 80 lowers in AR-15 configuration, AR-10 configuration, Glock compact and full size, and actually I believe they've actually come up with a SIG P320 chassis hand grip. So basically you have like the steel insert, which is literally it literally is quote unquote the firearm, because they take the sheet metal piece that is the chassis of the handgun, and that's the part that has the serial number. So when you look at the part that you drop the chassis into to make a complete lower receiver, or basically a pistol, you have a window that's cut out in the polymer to show the serial number. So literally the part that has the serial number physically is the firearm. Now there's actually some firearm stuff I got coming up, and that'll probably be a little later towards the program here, but there's some exceedingly good news on the horizon. I tend to think that we really tend to make more footholds. We tend to be way more productive, and we just get more stuff done. When we have situations where we are with a Democrat administration, what, Milo? What? He's being annoying tonight. We have a Democrat administration, and essentially the situation they're in is that the judges then seeing as I guess they just decide in their own mindset, now is the time to see these things, visit these things, and render judgment upon these things. Now, I can tell you for a fact, looking at things right now with stuff that's happening in California, oh my stars and garters. We are marching stridently towards more gun freedom. No matter what, I gotta say it correctly. I cannot say it incorrectly. I have to call him what his name is. Okay, we're talking about President. That's right. We're talking about Joe, not starting with a B. Okay, but we're talking about Joe. Joe Kaka, because, well, he is Kaka. So anyway, the situation they're in is that there seems to be a lot of steps that are taking place in the local courts, read like the states, like higher courts, and of course going into the Supreme Court. There seems to be a lot of good things that are, well, obviously playing the German march there, but things that are marching along, and we're getting more freedom reestablished. Unfortunately, you know, the BATF is the BATF, and they will always be BATF. But the situation they're in is that essentially it really isn't looking good for this guy that they threw at them, who is like one of these butt bungs left over from Waco, stridently anti-gun. And it could be said that this guy is not the guy. You don't want this guy driving the bus on the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, quote, and explosives, end quote. Technically, I don't trust those brain dead bubbas to do anything firearms related that's not going to be stridently anti-constitutional. I just don't trust them. Abrams, at least Slick Willie stuck to adults. Yeah. Yeah, I think if Joe's name was Peter File, it would be closer to the mark. Yeah. I'm looking for a Peter File. Yes, we have one. There's one around. Yeah. But anyway, things aren't really looking too good for Joe Kaka either. And it could be said that the romance, read the honeymoon of that first 100 days when the president gets into the White House, those days are over, man. Those days are over. Jen Psaki, I'm not going to call her Psaki. Jen Psaki, also known as Peppermint Patty, she's starting to get called out. Kamala Horizontal Harris, she's starting to get called out. So maybe the news media is really seeing the writing on the wall. And I got news stories about that too. Don't even worry about that one. Maybe the news guys are seeing the writing on the wall that when they stridently don't tell the truth. Oh, Mrs. Dude is texting me again. All right. So anyway, stridently hard left, TDS syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome, the screaming, hooping, and hollering that they really truly tend to do at any time in memoriam. They always they'll do these things and they don't try to stop from being those people of who they are. Sound guy. No, I'm not doing a Rush Limbaugh imitation. God bless you, Rush. We miss you. No, I'm not doing a Rush Limbaugh imitation at all. I'm simply just being verbose and very strident, okay? I'm not doing anything that's completely out of the mark of my usual spiel. Anyway, so, yeah, all these now are starting to be called upon to actually do their freaking job and tell the story. Don't slant it. Don't color it. Don't add specific, template verbiage to make it appropriate for the consumers. Just tell us the freaking story, okay? It's been said that there is many news guys now that are going, oh, snap, people aren't watching us. CNN has fallen out of the top 5. They've lost somewhere in order of 50 to 70% of their viewing audience. Yes, Rachel Maddow. I just watched that video where she's almost crying when, Donald Trump won the election. Yeah, this is time. This is now. We're in it. This is hell. Yeah, that was possibly one of the most honest depictions of liberal angst, guilt, and just whiny, cry, little whatever you could say. We got to watch it front and center, and it was epic. Anyway, liberal cheers. Be sure to drink up a big glass of that one. Anyway, so the news guys are really starting to suffer. Things aren't looking good for them on the cable news networks. And there is other guys who are now taking their stead. Read like OAN, Newsmax, and I think there's like 2 or 3 other guys that are currently jockeying for that position of conservative news guy. So when it comes down to it, and you have the cable network with like bazillions of channels that you don't watch, and there is the few channels that actually tend more towards your side of the spectrum in the political stripe. And I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat, I am not a Republican. Okay, I'm a registered Democrat in Maryland, so at least I have a voice in the primary. It's pretty much a one-party state. Of that, and speaking to most people tend to be socially liberal. I want to basically just be able to go out and do the things I want to do without the government stepping on me, blah, 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 blah. But they are fiscally conservative. They don't like the idea of the government pissing money down a rat hole, spending us into complete and total just, was it Pliven, something Pliven, but you know what it means, where you bankrupt the country so then you can go, well, we'll just declare ourselves as insolvent and we'll just make everything socialist where everything is owned by everybody. That's not the case at all. Yeah, exactly. Cali Shotgun, also known as Abrams, said Waco Chipman said anything bigger than a 22 was bad. And I really love the fact that the one senator had him there, and he was kind of a foghorn leghorn senator. Guy's like, well, why don't you tell me rightly what is an assault weapon? And the guy goes, to describe it appropriately, it's anything bigger than a 22 caliber, but you have to use the BATF depiction of 19, blah, 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 whatever it was. And he's like, no. What is your opinion? You want my vote. You're going to have to convince me of your knowledge on these things, because every time I've ever seen anybody discuss these things, they're standard modern sporting arms. They are not used in a lot of crimes. They're 1, big. 2, they're not the most portable. 3, You're trying to get my vote. Why don't you be honest about what you declare as a quote unquote assault weapon? And the guy kept hemming and hawing and going back to this previous iteration of something that the BATF described. And pretty much, I think he screwed the pooch. I would tend to think, as thin as the margins are right now, they're not going to override it. His ass is not getting the job. And I would tend to think, of all people, that's going to be the linchpin for this one is going to be Manchin in West Virginia. Because Manchin knows he's got the sword of Damocles hanging over his head right about now. If you don't know the historical reference there, and it was a king that was quoted as stating, I have this sword hanging over my head. It is hanging by a thread. So at any time, that sword can take me out because I've done something that goes against the group that is now in my ruling class. They might take me out. So I ride a razor's edge of being good, bad, or otherwise. It's Cali Shotgun. Abram said they're loud as hell too. 55645 moving at 3,000 feet per second. Yeah, it's 163 decibels in an inside room. It's not something you're just going to go, okay, let's engage this guy inside the house. No, it's a high pressure, high intensity cartridge that's shooting a small, fast moving projectile. Yeah, it's going to be a little loud. So that's not going to be your first choices. Truthfully, I would tend to think, one of my heart of hearts is probably using inside the house. If you want to get really down and dirty and you want to avoid all the troubles from like all the controlling ruling establishments, you look at what Joe Kaka said and you kind of shove it to the side and you get yourself not a 12 gauge, but you get yourself a 20 gauge pump shotgun. For the very simple reason is a 20 gauge kicks about half as much as a 12 gauge and sends out 7/10 of the projectile load of a 12 gauge. So anybody can shoot a 20 gauge, and it really doesn't hurt. Shooting a 12 gauge, yeah, you're shooting a 12 gauge, okay? You're shooting a 20 gauge. Well, one, you're carrying a lot more ammo because it's lighter. Two, it does almost the same thing. Three, it's not going to kick the chicks as hard, so they're not going to be afraid to shoot it. Also, 12 gauges really aren't as loud as a 5.56 being fired indoors. Yes, you can screw a can on an AR-15 or an M16, all the rest of that fun stuff, but you're kind of then making it long, as if it isn't long enough already. I mean, even an M4 carbine is like 30 some odd inches, okay? It's not that short. Something, it's collapsed the stock. You might lose a couple inches, but it's not that short inside. Callie says, 590 with a 3-inch mag, 15 pellet double-aught buck suits me just fine for inside the house. Correct. You basically have hit them with half of a magazine from an Uzi 9mm with those 36 caliber pellets. Double-aught buck is not fun to get hit with. Number 4 buck is not fun to get hit with. Either of those expressly dedicated hunting loads are used on deer-sized creatures. Hello, people are deer-sized creatures. They'll do the job. CLUS, my son was shooting a 12-gauge pistol grip, basically sawed off legal length at the age of 10. Was easy. Dude, I have shot a pistol grip 12-gauge. And with light field loads or practice loads, it's not bad. Full house, full brass double-aught buck, ow. Full house, slug load. Oh, my stars and garters. My wrist was stiff for about a week with the microfractures. Yeah, that is some recoil. And I do mean recoil. Like, oh, ow, that freaking hurts. Yeah, so you double-aught buck, not slugs. Indeed. All right, so looking at things, I don't know if you guys caught this news story or not. They obviously have been talking about it quite a bit. If you guys are going to do any stocking up of freezer stuff, now is the time. Load your freezers up with long store meats in a very, very cold freezer. So you now have items that store for a few years. No issues. There is now problems with the Australian meat plants from the JBS guys. And they're now saying that they're trying to catch up, and it's really a major thing. I talked about it a little while, last time, but you guys might want to stock up because even Mac and Trash, the last time I went there and looked at hamburger prices, they've gone up by about 20 cents per hamburger. So even McDonald's is feeling the crunch. And I basically was ordering quite a bit of the sausage McMuffin with egg for breakfast. They were $2 a piece. Not anymore. Now they're $4.99. Guess what? I'm not eating at McDonald's when they ask for these insane food prices. Guess what? I'm not going there anymore. This one This one is pretty much. I'm gonna have to clean this up. I get really snarky on Gab because they do not have the slightest bit of censorship. So I get very yappy. But I'm gonna have to clean this up for YouTube, so they don't go, "Hey, you said something that we don't like." Yes, yeah. CLUS says Aldi's. Yeah, Aldi's stuff is not bad. The only downside with Aldi's is you better like the one thing that they have because they pretty much have like one of everything. Literally one of everything. Double Up Buck is 32, so one shell and two mags is plus. Okay. Actually, yeah, you're right. Triple Up Buck is 36 caliber. Let's see. So how do I express this? Okay. All right. I know how I could say this. Okay. I'll just simply state it as what the actual article is stating it as. So okay. I'll lose the snarkiness by saying that. This is coming from dailywire.com, and this is from Florida Governor par excellence. I would love to see this man run for president someday. This guy has got a set of nuts like you don't want to know. But DeSantis signs a bill protecting girls from competing against biological males on the first day of Pride Month. I got to find the appropriate sound effect. Hang on a second. I got. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, so on the first day of Pride Month. That's right. So the guy's running around with yeah, they really don't get to mess around with the right, exactly. The guys with the roosters don't get to mess with the girls with the cats. There we go. So anyway, he basically said you will not compete against these people for the very simple reason is, first off, you're dudes, okay? You have a biological advantage. Second off, you have tons of testosterone, much bigger muscle groups, and basically you can't compete, okay? It's one of those things. Oh, I'll have the girls wrestling the guys. There is no wrestling of girls against guys. The guy basically just takes the chick and basically slams her because just sheer muscle group size and strength level. It's not even a competition. But anyway, Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis kicked off the start of Pride Month by signing a bill into law. Quote, the Fairness in Women's Sports Act, end quote, that protects female athletes from having to compete against biological males. Quote, we believe in the state of Florida in protecting the fairness and integrity of women athletics. And I can tell you that this in Florida, girls are going to play girls sports, boys are going to play boys sports, and that's what we're doing. We're going to make sure that that's a reality. So the bill that's coming due today is going to ensure fairness for women athletes in the years to come in the state of Florida. It says that athletic teams or sports that are designated for females are open to females, and we're going to be being based off biology. If you got a hot dog, you ain't hanging with the donuts, okay? That's just how that one works. The bill defines a student's biological sex based on the student's official birth certificate at the time of birth. As part of the bill we're signing today, we're not only making sure women have the opportunities for scholarships and competition at the highest level, we're also putting into statute ways to actually vindicate the rights of any woman athletes who may have been discriminated against. Translation, any lawyer on the planet should be happy about this, except for those woke butt bungs that go, oh no, this is a socialist agenda item. We can never let this fail. So moving forward, any student is deprived of an athletic opportunity or a result of a violation of this law will have the right to civil remedies. Translation, they're going to sue the blank out of you, okay? You are going to go, hey, I got this one, sound guy. When they get done dragging you into the courtroom in Florida, you are just going to go, absolutely. There will be no death. Why snoots no? You better understand, it's just going to be, you're going to get it because you're despicable. Exactly. So you're going to get it, buddy. You're going to get it. If you try to say that you got a hot dog and trying to compete with donuts, it ain't going to work out for you, okay? It's just not. Any school or public post-secondary institution that suffers direct or indirect harm as a result of the violation of this bill, including a government entity, accrediting organization, or athletic association, can also pursue civil remedies. Translation, if you're coming in there saying you're going to compete and you try to cause mayhem, you are going to lose. Bad. Any student who is subject to retaliation as a result of reporting a violation of this bill can also pursue civil remedies. Oh, snap. They doubled down on that one. DeSantis played a video at the press conference showing biological males competing against girls in track races at a high school level and winning. Also, DeSantis said it was, quote unquote, blatantly unfair. According to the event in Selena Soul, sorry, it was a person. Attending the event was Selena Soli, a track athlete from Connecticut who fell one place short of being able to qualify for the finals after losing to two biological males. DeSantis dismissed threats from the NCAA warning against laws to protect girls from having to compete against biological males in sports. What is the NCAA? I don't even know what that is. I'm going to cheat that real fast here. I'm going to find this out real fast. NCAA, National Collegiate Athletic Association. Man, if you want to talk about a left-hard-leaning organization name, that's it. That's it. That sounds like something straight out of Mother Russia. So that's another one. Sound guy, we need to get a sound bite of the old, CCCP, the Russian anthem. I do mean like Soviet Russian anthem. I don't mean like the new Glasnost and Perestroika, the nice new fuzzied up one. No, I want the one that's like hard charging. When Putin was actually the bad guy, kind of. That's the music I want. Okay. Let's see. There's some really really fun hats that are floating around now, and it's basically the election font, of Joe Biden, blah, 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 his election thing he had. And it says, Joe and the ho gotta go. Man, you want to talk about just stuff's getting fun now because a doddering oldster who's basically got predilections for doing unscrupulous things for children and a slut. It's not going to be good for them. It's really going to be just brutal. The memes are absolutely off the wall amazing right about now. I know Facebook is trying to censor the quantity of them that they don't like, but dude, there's such a deluge of anti-whomever in the White House. It is not even funny. It is absolutely phenomenal, the memes that are taking place right about now. CompWiz, did they get hacked? Yes, the JBS guys did get hacked. They shut down a good portion of the slaughterhouses. Read like the guys that actually cut up the meat in Australia and a couple places, or a chunk of them in the United States. And I found out essentially what it was there was a compromised password. Usually, in most cases, for these things that happen. So somebody has an old password. It gets shared around somewhere, or they hack into dudes' emails and they follow it back and they go, oh, wow, a password update. They're making everybody aware. Okay, let's just put this in perspective here. Anytime I do anything financial and it goes back to my YouTube account, it goes back to my Yahoo account. It goes back to my Yahoo Mail account, which is compromised regularly. I just keep switching the passwords on the Yahoo account, and I keep switching the passwords on my bank stuff. I have yet to take a hit on any of my bank accounts for anything. And usually, I can tell you for a fact, my work bank account usually doesn't have a small amount of cash in it, and it is a debit account. So if somebody got in there, they could really do some damage to it. Nobody's gotten into it yet. Nobody's gotten into it in any way, shape, and form, mostly because I have the secondary utilization of, is this really you? Calls back to your phone, you get is this you? Yes. Boop, let me in. Do the two-step thing, okay? Trying to fake a phone receiving a code thing is really, really hard. Google has an authenticator. There's other means in which to do stuff. Always do a two-step method to sign into things. Yes, it's inconvenient because you don't have your phone by your side. Have your phone by your side when you sign into these things. Or just simply go to the location, use their ATM, and that's secure as you're going to get, okay? Just make sure when you're punching in your ID codes that you're obscuring the keypad. That's how that one works. Let's see. Patriot Fever on station after 4 innings. A little Patriot T-ball. Appreciate you coming in, sir. I appreciate that kindly. Page reviewer says LMAO when he saw that. Let's see. Scroll. Oh, you must be talking about the hat. I don't know about this for you folks, but this is one I'd say don't play the video, okay? I do not play the video. And this is currently in my queue of things on my Gab account of Dude Jerky 80s. So Dude Jerky 80S on Gab.com. But there was a flight that went from Germany and landed in where the heck did this thing go? Hang on a second. I read up on this and I forgot where the place where it landed. Hang on a second. I'm gonna kill the autoplay because I don't want this. United Airlines flight that was a van. Oh no. Oh. It left out of Germany and went to Vancouver, or it went to the United States. I forget where it went, but they said, some Canadian singers on board. I really don't care about that. But anyway, it was like an 8-hour flight. Okay, so 5 hours across the pond, 3 hours to the United States, blah, 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 wherever it's going, or going to Canada. But the whole flight, there was a kid just going, ah, 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 sitting on top of the seats, screaming, hooping, hollering, try to distract the kid. The kid would not shut up for the whole flight, creating such an amount of mayhem that literally everybody came off this flight and was like, you got to be flipping kidding me. And I believe it was a Lufthansa. It was a Lufthansa flight. So the German Airlines Lufthansa. And the situation is, you got to remember, everybody's now amped up. They're stressed. They're pissed. They're not happy. And they've been stuck with this screaming Mimiite for 8 hours in the plane. Major safety hazard. If there's a situation taking place, need to get people off the plane. They're going to be majorly distracted, amped up, tweaked up, and just fatigued. Okay. So what should have happened is the situation should have been as such. They're taking off. The kids start screaming, hooping, and hollering. They declare an emergency. They put the plane down. They drop the parent and the kid off, and they say, sorry, this is a safety hazard. We will not continue with this flight because it is dangerous. So anyway, they continued the flight. The kids stayed on board. Everybody on the plane just beyond pissed off. I would make it so it was such a financially unfortunate thing for Lufthansa that they never put anybody through this crap again. Because essentially what this was financial. This was not safety oriented. If it was safety oriented, they would have put the plane down, gotten everybody off that was causing mayhem, put the plane back in the air, and continued the flight. That's how it's supposed to go. Planes in the air, the stewardess tells them, you got to quiet the kid down. You got to, this isn't working. Everybody's getting freaked out. This isn't good. This is a bad situation. Okay, I need to go talk to the pilot. If you can't get him quiet in 5 minutes, we need to put the plane down and we need to get you and him off. Done. That's what should have happened. But because Lufthansa did not want to lose any money by putting the plane on the ground, possibly, for a 15, 20-minute time period, and then rerouting the plane after taking off again, which would have been something greatly appreciated by everybody on board. They wouldn't have minded the amount of delay that took place. They continued the flight. 8.5 hours with this kid screaming just demonically. I cannot begin to express to you how off the wall this kid's behavior was for 8.5 hours. And it was stated the mother is going, well, he does have behavioral problems. I thought it wasn't going to be an issue. Dude, you just made over 300 people or 200 people hate your freaking guts. There's no way around it other than to simply say you created a hugely dangerous situation for every single person on that plane. Let's give me 1 second here. I might have to grab a cat.
I'm in fucking pain. That's what's wrong.
All right. Well, hopefully situation averted. So yeah, dangerous situation created for 8.5 hours of transoceanic travel. Somebody needs to really, really just say, okay, we majorly screwed up, and oh yeah, we need to make restitution. Big time. This is not going to be something easy. No, Patriot Fever. This was not Air Force Two getting grounded for an oops. This was an Lufthansa air flight. Read like commercial airlines leaving out of Germany and going, I think it went to the United States. I forget what the article was. But anyway, they said essentially this kid just made life a living hell for everybody on board that plane. And there was a guy like sitting like 2 or 3 rows back, and he's got his camera phone going, and he just recorded for posterity. Supposedly this happened in August, and this is the first we're hearing about it. And the situation they're in is that we haven't heard about it being rectified in the slightest. Why does it have an annoying laugh on board? Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know, dude. Scroll. This is, I made a comment upon this one, but I'm going to read the story first before I flash my comment at it. Okay. Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, has stated he's vowed this week that he's going to divert law enforcement to arrest every migrant that crosses the state's southern border with Mexico. Oh, my stars and girders. He ain't playing anymore. And this is coming from American Military News. And let me see. I hate those little stupid pop-ups. Want to sign up for this? No, I don't. No. Texas Governor Greg Abbott vowed this week to divert law enforcement to arrest every migrant crosses the state's southern border with Mexico. Quote, we're going to change the way Texas addresses the challenges on the border, and we're going to start helping those 34 counties respond by increasing arrests. Abbott told Sean Hannity on Fox News on Wednesday. This is dating June 4th, so 2 days ago. The law that I'm going to use will be the legal ways in which Texas is going to start arresting everybody coming across the border. Not just arresting them, because this is not going to be an aggravated trespass. They're going to be spending a half a year in jail, not a year in jail, as well as other actions that I'll be announcing next week. Word's going to get around on that one fast. It's like, cross over to Texas, you're going to be in the clink for 6 months. What, Milo? What? Okay, you know what this means. This means you're going to be on camera. That's right. The Milo is going to be on camera. That's right. You're asking for attention, and he's being kid held. not proper hold, but kid held. All right, so go Boogie. Bye. See ya. Also this week, the Republican governor issued a disaster declaration in an effort to fight the influx of illegal immigrants crossing the Texas southern border. According to Abbott's declaration, he has directed the Texas Department of Public Safety, or DPS, to enforce federal and state criminal laws, including trespassing, smuggling, and human trafficking. Okay. There might be an easier way to do this. Just start offering a bounty on coyotes. And I'm not talking about like the 4-legged variety with the pointy ears chasing the roadrunners. I mean the guys who are actually the illegal agitators bringing persons across the state line, the country's border, and everywhere else in between illegally. Selling the false prophet of, oh yeah, I'll get you to Norteño, dude. It'll be all cool. Taking these people, stuffing them in tractor trailers, all kinds of horrific means to get them over there, selling them a bill of goods, taking their life savings and placing them under duress for however long it takes for them to get north and dropping them in, El Norteño, or basically the north. Under the order, Texas Health and Human Services Commission must also move to discontinue state licensure of child care facilities being used by the federal government contracts to shelter or detail illegal immigrants. Okay, here it is at its basic essence. Most people don't really know about this. Every state took their sovereignty and said, oh, well, I'm really not using this right now. Here you go, Washington. You can have my sovereignty. Every state in the union gave Washington their sovereignty. Translation, they're the contiguous 47 states of the United States. Texas is still a republic. Read like it's quasi state. Anytime Texas wants to, they can roll out. They got their own international border. They have their own seaports, literally their own seaports. They have their own power grid. And without the foot on the neck from the federal government giving them all these stupid mandates to do things from the outside world, they actually could run themselves a whole hell of a lot more efficiently. So anyway, squeezing things through the pipeline of truth, Texas doesn't really need the federal government. They got their own mint, and they got NASA, and they got a whole bunch of stuff, okay? Texas really doesn't need the federal government. Have somebody new in the room. GHEWOK. So I guess Giwok. Appreciate you coming in there, Giwok. Appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. Good stuff like that there. Let's see. So, quote, President Biden's open border policies have paved the way for dangerous gangs and cartels, human traffickers, and deadly drugs like fentanyl to pour into our communities, Abbott said in a statement on Tuesday. You bring one thing in from the criminal element, they can bring it all in. That's just human nature. You know, I got this one thing on the truck. Why don't I just simply bring along 4 or 5 more? Especially when you talk something that's profitable, it's like illegal drugs. You know, a couple keys of illegal drugs nets you a major profit. This one came out. This is kind of behind the scenes, but there has been a situation with Nancy Pelosi. A recent article in the San Francisco Examiner reported that Nancy Pelosi had sued Stanford Hospital, saying that, quote, after her husband had surgery there, he lost all interest in sex, end quote. A hospital spokesman replied, quote, your husband was admitted for cataract surgery. All we did was correct his eyesight, end quote. It's a meme, but I thought it was hilarious. If you guys didn't know it, a couple days ago, read like a day ago, we had D-Day, the commemoration of those guys invading in Normandy. In Operation Overlord during World War II, codenamed Operation Neptune, referred to as D-Day, is the largest seaborne invasion in history. And I cannot begin to tell you how many guys we lost on that day, but the pictures of the bodies floating everywhere was just horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Let's see. This one, I don't know if you guys caught up with this one also, but this one is another great DeSantis story. Now, they're doubling up on this one, trying to say that they're still just going to keep doing things the way they were. But supposedly, this is breaking news. Royal Caribbean reverses and won't require passengers on U.S. cruises to be vaccinated after Governor DeSantis passed a law to fine companies $5,000 every time they ask a customer for proof of vaccine. Now, let's just do the math here, okay? Your average price for about a 6 to an 8 day cruise average, it's about $1,000. So if you have a person that's only paying $1,000, say they hit the casino, let's just be generous and say they spend $1,500. So if you got 4 people, that's $6,000. You just got fined $5,000 for one person. You just lost $15,000. It's not like you're really that much, or $14,000. You're really not that much up. And it would be to your benefit to not play those games. Well, supposedly I heard another news story that Royal Caribbean is, we're still going to ask these people for that. It's like, go for it. And as soon as that happens, and as soon as DeSantis finds out about it, and as soon as the guys in Florida start raking you over the coals for $5,000 per occurrence, you're going to realize that doing something that woke, that idiotic, and that something so not allowed, guess what? You're going to realize it's just not worth the trouble. Or they're simply just going to say, we're not going to do any more United States cruises. We're simply just going to go to other places that are different. But, there is also the rule of the sea, 1864 or something like that. I forget what the actual ruling is. But the way it works is this. When a ship leaves the United States, it is required to go to a foreign country before porting into another United States port. Read like the American Virgin Islands or any places like that, Puerto Rico, any place that designates itself as the United States, you cannot dock there without hitting a foreign land first. Now, there's some reasoning behind that, the way that they used to do stuff. When they used to do like cruises out of California and go to Hawaii, what they would do is they would go to Hawaii. They would stop. They'd do their island hopping or whatever, or they would just go to Hawaii for like a day or two or something like that. Then they would go to an atoll that was 800 miles south of Hawaii. They would turn around, come back. So 1,600 nautical miles of travel, for the very simple reason is it cost less to burn the gas to go there, back, and past Hawaii or stop in Hawaii again before returning to the United States, because the atoll was foreign land. It wasn't like they went from, the United States being the continental United States, landing in Hawaii as the 49th state. I forget which one it is. I think it's 49th state. I think Alaska was the last. And anyway, so the situation on that one is they went to a foreign land before going back to the United States. So the situation they're in is they couldn't go from the United States to Hawaii. They had to go to the atoll first. Yeah, that's the way that worked. They had to go to the atoll, then back to Hawaii, because even with the fines and everything, it would have been more expensive to land on Hawaii, have everybody come off the boat, and pay a fine for every single person that stepped off the boat into another United States territory. So that's what they probably could be doing, is they could say, well, fine, we won't stop in the United States. We'll just go to foreign lands. Well, yeah, but you're leaving out of the United States. You're leaving out of a Florida port in the United States. I'm sure that they wrote the law in such a way that they could tweak it, because that's what politicians do. They always give themselves a gray area to go, oh, no, that doesn't go far enough. We better address this. Same thing with lawyers. They basically, they see the law and they go, well, it's a little squishy in these regards. Let's utilize this part over here. We'll just simply take that part, and we'll say that they intended to step over the line. It's just how they work. So anyway, scroll. Also with DeSantis, they say that Trump is sure to DeSantis as a possible 2024 running mate. Oh my goodness. If you can't stomach Trump and you want to get somebody else that's really good, I would have no problem pulling the lever for, Ron DeSantis in the slightest. And that's two articles that I found, mostly because Pence is a Rhino no, he's full establishment. Rhino establishment guy. I've never liked Pence at all. Just not at all. This is amazing, and this one has got the Democrats freaking out. Now, they have that quote unquote bellwether, where they basically see something happen and it portends the next election. The Democrats are freaking, and I really want to cuss here, but they're. Hang on a second. I know I can do it. I know I can do it. Hang on a second here. I got this. Oh yeah. They are freaking the. No, sound guy. No, they're not doing it that way. Okay, no, that's not how they're doing it. They're doing it like this. They are freaking the cuck out. They are freaking the cuck out about the win for a guy who is a Republican. A Republican celebrated mayoral win in a town that is 85% Latino. Quote, we're in big trouble, end quote. Okay, the problem is most Democrats don't realize Latinos are very family-oriented, very Catholic, and usually they are a tight-knit group, okay? If you're screwing up, mom finds out about it, Abula finds out about it, grandma, you're in trouble, okay? So anyway, the situation is they had this election take place, and the Democrats were stunned. This is coming from DailyWire.com. Over the results of a mayoral race in South Texas over the weekend after a town elected a former chairman of a local country level Republican Party, a local county level Republican Party. Republicans celebrated Javier Villalobos. I got that right, actually. Javier Villalobos' narrow win in the mayor's race from McAllen, Texas on Saturday, even though the race was technically nonpartisan. The hell it wasn't. Fox News reported Villalobos, an attorney, was appointed to the prepaid higher education tuition board by Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott. In 2018, is the former chair of the Hidalgo. Hidalgo. I finally got that one right. Hidalgo County GOP. The election comes as the U.S. southern border has been flooded with illegal aliens under Democrat President Joe Biden. Vice President Kamala Harris is tapped to lead Biden's response to the border crisis, yet she has still not visited the border and has not held a news conference about the border crisis. Oh, the news guys are starting to savage her about that, too. She's getting interviews, and they're asking her, so, why didn't you go to the border? Well, I got things going on. No. Why didn't you go to the border? Well, things are going on. Squish. Yeah. So, Abbott congratulated Villalobos on Twitter, writing, Javier Villalobos is a proven leader who cares deeply about the people of the Rio Grande Valley. Congratulations on becoming the next mayor of McAllen. Now, here's the other thing, too. Besides being very family-oriented and whatnot, they don't like illegal aliens for the very simple reason is they're like, no, man, I came here. I worked hard. I got my citizenship. I did everything the way I'm supposed to do. I did it legally. These guys coming across the line, they're not doing it right. And I've heard that from more than a few occasions from Latinos. They resent the fact these guys are getting stuffed into the country, head of the line, not even being citizen status, and they're just coming in here and they're getting all the gravy without doing anything to earn it. These guys busted their asses to become United States citizens, and they're like, no, this is not cool. Patriot Fever, dude, when this is over, look up Darren Bailey's thoughts on Pritzker's budget via YouTube. Oof. Yeah, Pritzker he's a major Pritzker. I've heard stories about him, man. He's bad juju. Let's see. Scrolly. This is from Buck Sexton, and he does reside in New York. Read like I don't think it's Manhattan. I think it might actually be Brooklyn or something. But I really like his radio show. If there was anybody I thought would be an awesome replacement for Rush Limbaugh, it would be Buck Sexton. I just really enjoy his radio show. He's a good egg, and I really like it. As a matter of fact, I actually like him better than Hannity. He's just easier to listen to. Okay, it just works better. Anyway, so he says, just casual observation. This is coming from his feed on Gab. 10 people in my gym right now, 9 without masks. The insurrection against Fauciism is gaining ground. Good thing some unknown person who definitely isn't me, wink, wink, nod, nod. He didn't say wink, wink, nod, nod, but some unknown person who definitely isn't me ripped down the quote-unquote mask up signs here weeks ago. People are starting to get tired of this crap. It's just getting old. This one also coming on the pike in the heels of the illegal stuff. SCOTUS, this is coming from Populist Press. Let's see, Populist Press. That's what it is. Populist Press. It's just populist.press. So I don't know how they got that website, but they did. This is coming in on June 7, 2021. Supreme Court ruled that people who entered the U.S. illegally can't seek permanent residency just because they're now covered by a program that gives them temporary legal status. I'm just going to say ABF, about blanking time. Justices on Monday unanimously ruled against Jose Sanchez and Sonia Gonzalez, a married Salvadoran couple who received temporary protected status after El Salvador suffered a series of earthquakes in 2001. The ruling could affect thousands of people covered by the TPS program, which protects immigrants whose home countries are in crisis. It's not in crisis anymore, dude. You can go home. Writing for the court, Justice Elena Kagan. Wow, I thought she was like the most liberal. Said federal laws green card applications by temporary residents only if they're admitted into the country legally. Sanchez was not lawfully admitted. This is her. And his TPS does not alter that fact, Kagan wrote. Quote, he therefore cannot become a permanent resident of this country. End quote. Okay, I tend to think right now because, obviously Donald Trump's not in office, possibly the court is getting just a little bit more centrist, if not conservative, and seeing the cases they normally would be blowing off. It's got to have happened. But that's one of the other things that kind of sucks too, is the Supreme Court, unfortunately, has become a political entity also in and of itself. This one might be a little bit of a longer read, but this one is one that really needs to have happen, along with this, men competing with women and women being stuck with the guys basically beating their ass in sports stuff. But this one is classic. The they, thems just got told to be the he, she's and deal with it. Last week, the Loudoun County Public School teacher Byron Tanner Cross, after the school board placed him on leave, saying he would refuse to recognize the students. Refuse to recognize and sanction transgenderism by using pronouns that don't fit the biological makeup of students. So basically he said, look, I'm a Christian. I don't do this crap, okay? He, she, male, female. Go away. In a few short days, there's a group of guys basically took action. It was the AFA.net, which is, hang on a second here, let me keep myself honest. I think it's the American Family Association, but like a very, very big religious-based, kind of more conservative, but they do pick up other causes, basically kind of looking towards the religious side of things. So in a few short days, AFA's petition supporting Cross has reached 49,520 signatures. Loudoun County is not a small place, mind you. The Leesburg elementary teacher addressed the regular LCPS monthly school board meeting about the district's pro-gender policy. He told the board, quote, I serve God first, and I will not affirm that a biological boy can be a girl and vice versa because it is against my religion. It's lying to a child, it's abuse to a child, and it is sinning against our God. 2 days after being held in the school board, he would refuse to, quote, lie to students regardless of the consequences, end quote. The school announced Cross had been put on immediate leave from his duties as a physical education teacher. Okay, but there's anybody that's going to see, male, female better than anybody, it's going to be the PE teacher, okay? Cross immediately filed a lawsuit against the school board and today the Virginia 20th Judicial Circuit Court ruled that Cross's First Amendment rights were violated by the board. Freedom of religion, freedom to associate, freedom of speech, that's the First Amendment. The court said, quote, upholding constitutional rights serves the public interest. Affirming the unconstitutional action that's been taken against Cross, which has silenced others from speaking publicly on this issue, serves the public interest. The public knowledge that Tanner's speech was permissible, is encouraged, and is free from governmental oppression serves the public interest. Governmental bodies being held in check for violating a citizen's constitutional rights serves the public interest. Read the ruling here. This is great news as the court has once again ruled that a Christian's rights to express their view, although unpopular with liberal-led factions, is protected right under the First Amendment. Deal. You throw this stuff out there as this new thinking, and it's so much more better than the old thinking, it's going to get challenged. And when it gets challenged and you guys don't like the results, oh well, too bad. Deal. We have the Constitution for a reason. You guys don't get to rewrite stuff like that. That's just not going to happen. Let's see what else is going on here. Is that the last of my news feed? I think it might be, but I'm still going to take a snoop here. Give me 1 second here. There was something else jumping out at me, and I forgot what it was. So give me 1 second here. Oops. Wrong camera. That one right there. Okay. Wrong. That one right there. Okay, that should be it. Oh, supposedly Biden's not happy because he's not being allowed to do the infrastructure. The GOP's pretty much just told him to sod off. Oh well. Let me try this on the home computer here. Hopefully it doesn't crash out on me. But I'm only going on to Yahoo, so who knows? Supposedly Biden ends infrastructure talks to the GOP, and it talks to increase pressure on Democrats pass sweeping infrastructure action using a special process doesn't require Republican votes. Translation: they're gonna own it. They're gonna own it. It's gonna be all theirs. Supposedly, it's now come out that the ATF has now stated that they have a ruling on the pistol brace things, and it's not good. But you know what? I've never been a huge fan of the pistol braces in the first place. So basically, if you have a bare buffer tube and you put that on your shoulder and shoot, they really can't say squat about it. I think the biggest problem is they're like, well, this is making an SBR that's not an SBR. And it's like some of the regulations are really ridiculous. It has to be a certain amount of length. It has to be a certain weight. It has to be this, that, and the other thing. There's all kinds of little kind of stuff that's just really, truly annoying. And it really doesn't define a pistol or a short-barreled rifle in the slightest. I think it's basically just the BHF pushing against the gun owners and seeing just how far they can go. Technically, if you want to do absolutely everything completely right, what should happen is the BATF should be completely removed as a government function, and it should be taken over by the FBI, which is technically what happens in the first place for a national instant check. It doesn't go through the BATF. It goes through the FBI. Then the FBI does the check, and it goes back to the BATF, and the BATF basically does the paperwork for the firearms transfer from dealer to person. It's kept on file for 20 years, and then after 20 years, they can dispose of the 4473s. I've heard telltale that like some gun stores close and like the BATF gets the forms and it's like the tops are burned, the bottoms are burned. It's like just the middle information is in place, but like all the weapons information, all the personal information of the people that actually were involved in the transfer, it's like gone. Yeah, exactly. Abrams said it right. Just have the ATF be the unarmed suits doing the paperwork. That's really all they're particularly good at, because anytime they go in the field and they try to do something, it usually becomes a hot mess. They're really not good field officers. And usually when they do something, it comes out really, really, really wrong. And it can be said that pretty much they are the bully boys. Well, I'm just going to call them what they are. They're the Allgemein, the brown shirts of the SS, the Schutzstaffel, basically the Nazi guys in World War II. They are the brown shirts, the Allgemein, the bully boys, the glass breakers. Those are the guys who went out and rabble-roused on Kristallnacht. The night of the broken glass, when they busted up all the Jewish businesses and tried to drive them out and, try to show everybody like, oh, these damn Jews, they're the problem, blah, 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 blah. We have to scapegoat them. That was the Allgemein, okay? That wasn't the Waffen SS, and it was probably just those assholes. No, it was the SS, dude. The Allgemein are a function of the SS. They're not SA. They were SS. At that point in time, because they were crap stirring. Remember, Kristallnacht happened in early part of 38, 39, something like that. That was like, really beginnings of them really stepping on everybody. Yeah, brown shirts or shorts. Well, considering the mindset of those, lump-headed morons, I would tend to think they were brown shorts, but yeah, I'm sure they had brown shorts when the American Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and of course the British guys and everybody else were coming in to really just render hell upon them when they were losing their ass, just before, final victory. The Allgemein didn't do real good. As a matter of fact, I heard on good authority that they actually had to instruct the U.S. forces to stop taking the prison guards out and just unceremoniously blowing their heads off. It was like, we need some prisoners, guys. Stop killing them as soon as you find them. And the other thing, too, is also it was a case where the Allgemein tried to play slick. They're like, oh, okay, we'll just dress like the Jews and hide up amongst, all the prisoners. It's like, okay, these guys all look like walking skeletons. You look pretty well nourished. You're the asshole. And pretty much would just drag them out and unceremoniously pop their heads off their shoulders because they weren't playing. It was a different time back then, and men were men, and, well, you just didn't become the bad guy without serious repercussions. So anyway, looking at things as it is, give me 1 second here. Jump back over, look back at my... It's been coming out that the election results are now in the audit looking really, really, really sketch. And I don't know if you're actually going to be able to get a major recall. Supposedly, Trump would just be unceremoniously inserted in August or something. But if nothing else, it shows how these things happen. It shows the mechanizations they're in. Of you can't trust a digital style of election because it's easy to falsify. When you allow elections to take place over more than the normal allotted time period, people can stuff the ballots. When you have these situations where unfortunately, dead people vote. You have situations where false names are utilized 2 or 3 times. Improper ballots have been submitted. All these things coming out by the wayside. These are things that should never, ever occur with standard checks and balances. And one of the classic ways I saw when an election took place, I forget where it was. I think it was one of the Arab nations. And literally what they did was they voted. The next thing they did was they dipped their thumb in an inkwell, and they had a purple ink on there that was like really, really hard to find anywhere. So supposedly these people were walking around saying, I voted. There's no way to say that I didn't go down and vote. And there's also another way to say that it wasn't falsified, because anybody that had no purple thumb, guess what? Their ballot got pitched. Bring back the hanging alley and require a fingerprint. Oh, the hanging chads. I remember that crap. Where you see the guy like look at it and he's going blink, 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 blink. And you see the chad fall off. It's like, really? Yeah. Abrams says they do the ink in Afghanistan. Okay, so that's exactly what they did then. But I don't know how much of an election really counts in Afghanistan. That place is pretty much just, what area is fighting what area for how long have they been fighting? It's like Hatfields and McCoys, but those guys have been duking it out for time and eternal. So that's where we're looking with that one. And hopefully we get this thing all squared away that it doesn't happen again. But anytime you have an election, it looks sketch. And the numbers and the graphing as such is it's very simple. I mean, you look at the logarithmic curve of basic elections, and they say you're going to get X amount of vote-ins, this time period versus this time period, and using past models and projections, these things happen on this timetable. You don't have it going like this, going like this, going like this, and all of a sudden one, going like this, going like the, and then the other one just shoots past the other one. All of a sudden, like they just discovered, two cars racing down a track, and one guy discovered an extra 300 horsepower. It just physically doesn't happen. Okay, so anytime you have stuff like that, and you can document it, hopefully you can trace it back, do all the the forensic evidence, and hopefully allow it not to happen again. This election that last occurred was a farce. I mean, there's no other way to say it for what it is. It's just simply ballot stuffing, and it's fake. There's no other way to describe it. However, there's a old saying I like to utilize, and it tends to hold true in a lot of regards. And it's an old German saying. It essentially says this: God's millstones grind very, very slowly, but very, very thoroughly indeed. So you look at the karmic thing going on right now. The Democrats, even though they're putting on this strong front, oh yeah, we're going to get this done, they're starting to fracture. They're starting to infight. And if you look at the news media, they're really not their friends as much. Now that they've lost their biggest target to shoot at, and of course all that stuff is starting to come out now about like why it looks sketch. Not just the fact that it looks sketch, but why it looks sketch. Patriot Fever in the room says, what is the punishment for a stolen election anyway? Well, if you do falsification of government election stuff, I think it's like 5 to 10 years and with a high fine. If nothing else, every single person associated with this crap that did do it, they need to go to jail. And I mean, they need to go to jail. From top on down, these guys need to be in the clink. And they need to have it shown that once you go to jail and you're a felon, you don't get to vote anymore. Guess what? You've countered the privilege that you had at birthright, and you made it so that now everybody knows you're that guy who's a criminal. And I tend to think that anybody that did that stuff, committed those crimes, needs to lose their votes for life. They need to be made felons, and everybody needs to know what they did and how they did it. Because the only way you're going to fix this thing is with just sincere and complete just clarity. You need to be able to see every step in place, everything that took place. There shouldn't be any subterfuge or anybody hiding stuff. It should be as clear as glass how the process works. Not a bunch of people sticking things up so you can't see what the process is when they're doing the ballot counting. That's crap. Patriot Fever is asking if it would be treason. I would say if you're trying to take out a sitting president like that, it's not just treason, it's sedition. If that president looked like he was going to be winning and you made it so that he couldn't win and you're trying to stick somebody else in there that was not the winner, that's not only treason, that's sedition. That's the attempt to remove a sitting president. And yeah, that's treason and sedition. So yeah, I guess it would be. So you can have a couple charges on them. They were like major crimes, federal offenses. Not just like, you did something ballot stuff, you about sticking a couple of ballots. No. We're talking like the big juju stuff. And I tend to think it's not going to work out for them in the long run. But if nothing else, I would see this as pretty much a one-shot deal. The whole Dominion things, nobody's going to trust a Dominion machine. That's just not going to do it. Patriot Fever says death by firing squad. No. You don't have the right mindset, okay? You don't use a firing squad. It's too quick and painless. What I'd like to see, and this is just me, is you have a helicopter and it's hovering over a volcano, and it's like, okay, we're going to give you guys just a marvelous view here, and you get two choices. One, you get to come back down to the ground and you're going to hang, or you have 20 seconds of free fall before you go plunging into a volcano, and for all intents and purposes, it's pretty quick. Make your decision now. And then they walk up and they're looking out the door, and you just go, oh, by the way, preliminarily, we think that you should be seeing the volcano closer. And then the next guy's like fighting for it. It's like the guy just pulls out a 44 and goes, your choice. Either way, you're going into the volcano. Doesn't make any difference to me if you're living or gone, but you're going into the volcano. And then when the family demands, remains or something, it's like, you can dig them out. Come back in a couple of million years when the place cools off. You can dig them out. Have fun. That's just me. I tend to have a little bit of that kind of Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler thing going on there sometimes. But I tend to think Death by the Live Volcano is just better. It's a nice view. They get to enjoy the landscape for about 20 seconds before they go, piss. That's just me, man. But I can tell you what, the videos that I've seen of things falling into a volcano that simulate the human body, not good. Really, really not good. Then it makes the volcano upset. The volcano's kind of stirred up for a while until it burns it all off, and then it cools back down. But it's fun to watch. I'd be the guy in the helicopter going, it's so cool. Oh, look, there's a floater. All right, so I'm going to break up with this one, folks. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me being the morbid, sick pup that I am sometimes. But appreciate your kind attention. There's new guys in the room. There's people hanging out with me tonight. Always appreciate your kind attentions. Now, you got many other things to do on Tuesdays, but you hung out with me, so you get a gold star for attendance. And, I'm still looking at like 20 plus days on Facebook before I come back again for another 30-day timeout for posting something snarky to somebody who I think I took her down with me because I reported her comment back at me. Good stuff. But anyway, North of the Border, Paper Fever, Abrams, appreciate you guys all hang out with me tonight. You get a gold star, like I said, and on the bro line on this one. So Ego keep Tedrick as always, you know what, you love it. And catch you guys next week and have a good one. So catch you guys then. See ya. Ursh.